it literally changes you. Like it physically transforms you, and you don't even realize it. So it's the grease that helps us tap into our tribes, people, olden days, and gets us in synchronicity with just our own body. Because I think a lot of us are disconnected. Like I think a lot of us are going through the day and going from one thing to another and not really feeling ourselves anymore, like feeling how we feel in our own body, and music and all that. It does. And the best thing is, and every culture has it. Like like think of something, like think of like seven things that we can all have in common. Music is always one of them, and that will never
Oh, for
change.
sure.
And so dance and movement is, it's part of it. And I just felt like if I didn't know the rules of movement, I couldn't move. And as I've danced and gotten better, as I know, like everything is movement. Like
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Totally happy Tuesday, especially when we're going to talk about dancing. So, as I told you, this is my dancing shirt. I'm all
Yeah.
thrilled, and it's amazing. All of the work that you do is, I told you, it really helped me when I was in the States and going through some challenges in the business, and I joined one of your dancing classes. So
Thank you.
first, thank you for your time today, and thank you for all the beauty that you bring into the world through the dancing. And today I would like people who don't know you, you run the Toronto Dancing Salsa. You could say more accurate than me. I was in the class as a student, but you could talk more about.
It's a weird name for a business because grammatically it's not correct. Toronto Dance Salsa. So technically Toronto Dance Salsa is not grammatically correct, but it works. Yeah.
It works and it moves.
Yeah.
People move in there, and I would like I would like to dive right inside and first understand, let's say from your, from your point of view, what brought you into the dancing before we talk about the power of the dance and what can it do for other people.
Yeah. I wasn't a really coordinated kid. And like I started taking lessons at the school that I run now when I was 23. So prior to that, I really struggled with confidence and masculinity and just being able to be around girls and be comfortable. A lot of my 18, 19, 20 year kind of life was my friends would pull me to clubs, nightclubs and stuff, and I never felt comfortable. I didn't know how to move to even basic rhythm, like at all. And so when I get on the dance floor, I'd see a lot of guys just going behind girls and grabbing, their hips and moving, and it's like I kind of I've never even seen Bollywood films, but there's this classic thing with Bollywood films where there'll be a tree and then a girl grab it holding the tree and they'll be singing from side to side in the tree. So they're like going like, and so every time I grab a girl, I try to move, like I'd move this way, but she'd move this way, and I can't move. I couldn't coordinate even as basic as that. So it's all this, I did bad experiences. I'd leave clubs feeling drunk and wasting my money and not feeling worthy or adequate. And so I just at 23, I was like, man, like I have to go learn. It's like someone needs to teach me. I haven't been taught, so I want to learn. And so at 23, I took my first dance classes, salsa classes. And 12 years later, now I'm running Canada's largest salsa dance school. So go figure that. But my initial thing was inadequacy, insecurity, a lack of confidence in myself, body image issues. I had a problem. I had a medical condition as well. It's called hyperhidrosis, which means my palms sweat so much that literally like I could squeeze and water would pour out. And so shaking people's hands, holding hands, couldn't even do that. So just before I signed up, actually, I got an operation where they cut the sympathetic nerve to my hand. So they went between my rib cage. There's an operation
Oh,
you can do, and it cuts the connection to my hand. So my hand stopped sweating. And then within a month, boom, I signed up for my dance classes because now I could actually hold a girl's hands without being embarrassed. So there was that big
oh,
part as well.
wow. Wow, amazing.
Mm.
The way that you went through from a place, because if you would have told me now the story, we just look back, 2 years ago when I joined one of your classes, I'm like, well, like he has it naturally, you know. Maybe for me it's harder, but like for him it's natural. And the fact that you're sharing this, well, the whole journey is amazing. And you know, we're only the middle, even though you accomplished so much. I know they're going to do so much more. So but what I really connect in your story is that you came from a place that many people have this when it comes to dancing, like they don't have that self-confidence, or they don't have that uh,
Mm.
maybe leave self-confidence in themselves, and you show that you could still do it. You could still do it. Now I'll be honest with you, it's really nice to hear right now, to hear you saying that. But if I'm right now in that place, okay, what can someone do that he really wants to dance, or she really wants to dance, but like you said, they're shy of the judgment of other people. And Alex, by the way, you took it like a step ahead. Like you went into salsa, that you need to lead the dance. So that's even more. Like you really went all in. So like what can someone do if they want to start but they don't have that confidence, that believe in themselves, that they can actually do it?
Yeah. Okay. So, if someone doesn't have confidence in dance, what they can do, right? Okay. Well, it starts, and I talk about this in my classes, right? Like when people come in, I tell them, I'm like, your first priority is let's just have fun, where dancing and learning becomes a peripheral thing. It's like, when you hear the biggest success stories, it's people who didn't try to be successful and yet they somehow
Yeah.
got hundreds of millions, right? Like it's that irony. It's like when you obsessively nail down the moves. And so like I did that path. Like I sucked. I repeated levels multiple times. Sorry, I don't want to go on tangent. So what can people do? Okay, so one, take dance classes that aren't a drop-in. Like if you're not living in Toronto, don't do drop-in classes because it's like a drop-in at a gym.
What
What
is
you
that?
find is your wins don't always come at the beginning. Like at least you won't recognize your wins at the beginning. And so I'm joining a school where it's a course, it's a curriculum once a week, consistently, same instructor, same classmates, and you're little by little building. You'll find, oh my gosh, I'm creating wins because it's like you go to the gym and you lift 100 pounds. If you've never been to the gym, the next day you'll be in bed and you'll be like, oh, I can't move, right? Like, and then you won't go back and you'll think gyms aren't for me. Where it's like, no, dude, just lift every day 5 pounds, but 5 pounds, but just lift 5 pounds. Or it's like brushing your teeth. It's like, if your teeth are, now I'm really self-conscious about my teeth, but if your teeth are like, imagine like you smoke all the time and your teeth are like yellow. One day of brushing, you won't notice a difference, but at day 30 or day 37, you'd be like, oh, my teeth are a little wider. And so with the dance, I think most people put too much pressure on, they know what a good dancer looks like. And they think, well, I can't look like that. Well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to suck and be awkward, and that's fine. Embrace that. But consistency is key. Going to a dance school where you can do a consistent curriculum, plus with the same classmates, so you feel that you're part of a tribe, does wonders for people who think they can dance. Because everybody who tells me, like, I have 2 left feet and 6 left feet and 12 arms or whatever they come up with, I'm just like, dude, just give me like a couple weeks. I'll take care of you. And like given enough momentum, you see the wins. You can't help it. If I learned, I know you don't believe this, but like, or people don't, but like if I was rejected when I wanted to be a volunteer at the school. This is how bad I was. Like I was
Wow.
rejected. Now I run like I was rejected, like to my
Wow.
face. My
Wow.
face.
That's
So
crazy.
really,
Wow.
anything you want is just consistency away. Like you just going consistently, show up, show up, show up.
But
Yeah.
I really connect to what you said about consistency, but I really even more connect to what you said about at the beginning, about when you come to that dance floor, look at it as coming to have fun. You're not coming to compare yourself to anyone. You're not to, also not to yourself. Just to, I could tell you personally, for me, dancing, it does so much for me in life. Like people who know me know that for me, it's like oxygen, you know. I just go and dance. I
Nice.
don't know what people think left and right. I just go and dance. I could dance now for 8 hours with not drinking anything. Uh, and
Mm.
so I really understand the power of the dance for me, how it helped me also mentally, also getting self-confidence. Also in bad times, I don't feel that well. So they say in order to heal, you need to feel. So I'll give the time for feeling that sadness, whatever it is, but then I'll put some songs and I'll start moving. What
Hmm.
I want to understand from you, what do you think? I know what it did for you, but from all the stories that you saw, from all the people that you helped uh,
Hmm.
in your place in the club, what do you think that the power of dancing really is? I know it varies from each person, but from your stories, like what do you think the power of dancing is? What does it do to people that so many people want to do it? Maybe they're scared, but they want to.
Um, hmm. Yeah. We, you look at when we used to be tribes people, at a basic thing, someone took their hands and banged on a rock and people moved. Like at our core, movement, synchronicity is something we're born with. Like you take a little kid and you start clapping, they'll start to figure out clap. And if you change it, they'll start to repeat. And so we all naturally want to be synchronous to our environment. And sound, it reverberates through our whole body. The thing that I struggled most with was, and I still struggle with this. Like I want to be very clear, I've specialized in certain dances, but you put me in a glow stick jello shot kind of club, I'll turn into my awkward self again. So like it's not like I've my whole life, like I'm suddenly confident everywhere. But what I will say though is because because this is so like in our DNA, that sound and rhythm is something we don't even realize we seek out. When we go into that space, we feel free. We feel a sense of flow. And like, this is what I see. Like, I see women start to tap into a feminine flow, gentlemen tap into masculine flow, and whatever, same sex couples, men tapping into a feminine flow. Like, it's not even a gender thing. It's more of, and I'm considering it through the lens of salsa, right? Where you have a leader and a follower. But for all, it's a form of healing, because I think the biggest thing is we're living in a time right now where there is so much noise and the lack of harmony. And when you think of music, you think of instruments and a musician playing in synchronicity to create something. And so when you're in that space, even putting on your headphones, right? Like when you're in that space, you're in synchronicity with whatever you're listening to. And the easiest example is, there are certain type of people who use music to enhance the mood or change the mood. So for example, if you just broke up with someone, I don't know if you experience this, you put on sad music just to make yourself cry, right? Like just like "Ah!" And then like you put on like Pharrell, a happy song, and you start to move. And so like it literally changes you, like it physically transforms you, and you don't even realize it. So it's the grease that helps us tap into our tribes people olden days, and gets us in synchronicity with just our own body, because I think a lot of us are disconnected. Like I think a lot of us are going through the day and going from one thing to another and not really feeling ourselves anymore, like feeling how we feel in our own body. And music and all that, it does. And the best thing is, and every culture has it. Like like think of something, like think of like seven things that we can all have in common. Music is always one of them, and that will never
Oh, for
change.
sure.
And so dance and movement is, it's part of it. And I just felt like if I didn't know the rules of movement, I couldn't move. And as I've danced and gotten better, as I know, like everything is movement. Like marching is movement. Like army marching in unison is dance. It is. But I know it sounds silly, but 1, 2, 1, 2, that's actually merengue. There's a dance called merengue, which is
Oh,
two
really?
beats, and you're moving. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called merengue. Yeah, so people can look it up. Merengue
Love
is
it.
2 beats. It's marching.
Love it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't really think about that. What you just mentioned, that like when we were kids, and if you'll come down to a little kid and you'll start clapping, they'll also clap with you. Like it's something that is in us. And I think that with time, many of us, we're afraid to do that movement. We know it's good for us. We know it help us, but because of judgment around, we won't do it. And it's even more than that. It's not only that it can make you feel better, it could also, like, if you don't want, like you said, in a breakup, I just went through something similar. So I really recognize what, like, what do you say? You know, when I didn't want like when I just want to go into that pain, I put these sad songs, and when I want to move, I put some, you know, some good beats. So I think first it's important for people that to understand the power of dance. Like you said, it's in us in every culture, you know, that will be something that combines us. And if they want to start in the class, so maybe start at home. And for sure, 100%. But is there, I'm trying to like to think, because sometimes I have this question for myself.
Mm.
I love dancing and I dance and it's amazing. But sometimes I ask myself, if I'll turn it now like into something serious as a class, maybe I lose the whole part of the hobby because, you know, I'm coming
Hmm.
to come and enjoy, and I'm a huge believer in each person investing in their hobby, and you see it, you know, in your business. But like, do
Hmm.
you think that people maybe take it too seriously if they come actually to classes, like, and they forget that they're there to actually come and enjoy?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, dude, you should be writing some of the stuff on my website. Like what you're literally asking is like legit what most people are concerned about, right? So now let's say this. What we're talking about are people who love to dance solo, but they're worried the structure will take away from the fun, right? Like so these aren't people who are afraid to dance. So they'll dance at home. They'll ain't no mountain high, they'll jam out. So what I would say to that is this is where it's like when I look at my mission in life and what my school's about, and I feel uncomfortable saying this because it's not that I'm promoting my school, but it's the value that I have. Every person who joins my school, I understand that their number one thing isn't to be the best dancer. Not that dancing isn't part of it, but it's not like I want to be on stage. That's usually 3 or 4%. And like of the people who actually join, not because it's a good thing or bad thing. And most people won't even believe it until they go through it. What people are looking for when they take dance classes is connection, is fun, is a sense of confidence and worthiness, is they're struggling with loneliness. And they're just like, they want to be around other people. They're tired of coming home and being on their cell phone and on Netflix and feeling empty. Like as a couple, they realize that they're always apart and they're never together in one room doing something together and working towards something. Like those are the actual reasons. And so when you talk about it is legit, and this is where I say it's like you just have to pick the right school. And so the best way to do it is you go on Google reviews. This is amazing. Go on Google reviews and see what words are coming up the most. Is fun coming up a lot? Is play coming up a lot? Like what are people who have gone through it saying about the experience and the culture? And so for me, the biggest thing people will say is entertain, fun, play. I'm like, yes, good. Because if we're doing all that, the dancing does come easy. Because kids, they play and they don't realize they're learning. And so play is a very necessary, important of learning. But at the same time, I also know that you can't have a game without rules, right? Like if there's no structure, it's like even a game of tag has some structure to it. And so what structure does is it narrows down not your possibilities, but it narrows down the choices so you can make them faster while having fun. If I say a game of tag, what are you supposed to do? I don't know, just do whatever you want. And be like, what? Yeah, I don't understand. And so when I think of dance, as long as it's as long as the culture is right, like there are like businesses of any kind where it's like, no, we're here to sell a dance move, we're here to sell a product. So you do have to pick a business that goes people first,
100%.
right? Like, yeah. So like I think a good dance teacher is like a great kindergarten teacher because adults are kids. And so like when you have a kid who's drawing and they will draw within the lines and they'll make it messy, a great teacher will hug and say, I love what you're doing here. Now try this with enthusiasm. And be like, okay. And like, because all you need is enough support and love to now go and chase it yourself, right? Like you inspire through that. So pick the right school with the right culture. It's very important. And the other thing is I think one of the things we all want, and I think this is the biggest problem with loneliness is there's too much of me in the world right now. There's too much of my needs, me, what do I want? And notice like depression and all this stuff is skyrocketing. There's a lot of self-help and there's a lot of focus on and what do I need? What are my things? What's my path? And me. But the problem is nothing good comes in isolation. Nothing. And so part of dance, what's important is going and being part of a tribe. Dancing around a fire by yourself is fine for a little bit, but at a certain point you'll go crazy because you do need that rubbing and connection of other vibes. And I think that's the flip side. Like for me, we're talking about synchronicity. The reason people are afraid is they won't be in sync with the people around them who are dancing. That's my fear. Like that's at the core of it. But the irony is if you never do it, then you're always alone. And that sucks too. And so pick the right school where you won't feel judged. And then go in because that component is necessary. It doesn't mean you shouldn't dance alone at home. But it does mean that everything is better with the right tribe. Tribes are important.
For sure. You connect, a familiar space, a familiar I'll say you could call maybe family if it's a small tribe that it gives you much more, like we spoke at the beginning about dancing helping people to get some self-confidence and also like you said now getting out of loneliness, creating maybe a new type of family, like of course I hope people have their family, but there are many different types of family, and over here when you connect that, when you have this dot that everyone have in common, so you have this connection that is much more that, and they could also understand you a lot more. Because when you tell someone, well, this dance, I didn't really feel it, and they never really dance, they don't really empathize with you. But when you talk to someone that is in your dance tribe, they'll understand it a lot more. So I think it's amazing to do, with a group of people. I'm sure there's someone that is listening right now that is saying, I'm sure that my case is different. Aleks, I understand that you didn't dance that good, but I have 2 left feet. I can't really move. Did you have any cases that, like, it's not a case, but did you have any people that came and they were persistent? Again, people need to do the work. They were persistent and you said, you know what, dancing is not for you.
Have I run into people who've like tried it but gave up, you mean?
Gave up, and you also said, listen, dancing, like,
have I ever said to someone dancing is never not for them?
You didn't say it to them, but you said it like in your mind.
Your head?
And you're like,
you're being like, listen, I'll be honest with you.
Like if someone that is listening to this right now is giving an excuse to himself, like, do you think, like, does that happen a lot?
So, okay, well, this quitting happened a lot. I mean, here's how I actually see it. I see it a little bit differently. I'll be very clear. When I teach level 1 and then it's level 2, my goal is how many more can I get from level 1 to level 2? How many people quit? And I think it's always my responsibility and my fault. Like, if I can't help people have enough fun and make them see wins and progress, that's me. That's not them. So people's quitting is a reflection that I'm just not good enough yet. Why I think this is important, and this is like legit how I feel, is like I'll see some students who they're dancing and I'm like, whoa, this is rough. But even my thought of that is just like, it reminds me how bad I was. Like how much, like how I stepped on girls' toes. I kicked them in the shin. I dropped girls on the dance floor. Like the amount of things I did that were so wrong was that. But I can't, like, I'm really thinking, I'm like, I can't think of a time I've ever looked at someone and said they should not be dancing. The closest I've ever come to that is they should be not at this level because they haven't formed the skills. Like sometimes I'll have someone who's in like a level 4 and they're struggling, and I realize, man, it's my fault. I didn't talk to them at level 2 that they shouldn't have continued until they got these core movements. So that would be like the closest. It's more of I didn't give them the awareness, because on the flip side, some people get so sucked into the next move, that they'll know 1,000 moves. And you know this, right? Like we know people, and I've done this mistake too. It's like someone who reads 100 self-help books, but yet still feels lost in life. Like it's that part of it. So I'd say one is, it's a reflection of me. Like the better I get, the more people I can carry on my shoulders. Because all it is like you just need to carry them long enough for them to realize, oh, I can do this. And
Oh,
like, when does that happen? You know, like when you look at a gym, like when does it happen that your identity changes from I have a gym membership to I go to the gym? It's so subtle, but that right. And so I say to my students right now, when they get to level 2 and they get to level 3, I said to them, guys, I said to them, now this is the thing. I said, guys, you're not just dance students. And they look at me confused, and I said, you're dancers.
wow.
Right. But that's important. Like, because I would never allow myself to think that. Even now, me saying to myself, I'm a dancer, it sounds crazy. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It does, because I still have that insecure little kid in me. But what I will say is changing that, changing that identity, it does take work and time. And so one of the things I accepted was I'm a slow learner. I'm not coordinated, but it doesn't mean I can't have it. It just means I have to work longer than most people. And when I look at when I was a student, most of my classmates were better at every level. When I was a volunteer, most of the volunteers were better than me. When I was an assistant, most of the dancers were better than me. But I just kept going. And I think that this honestly can apply to anything and everything. I'm not just saying you can do it all, but I'm saying that in dance, I found a place where through effort, I can flow and have fun and feel good. So why not obsess and stick with that? And I think that that's a really important in general lesson. You know, when someone's listening, it's like, well, my case is special. But what I want to tell you is you're not special. And I don't mean as a human, but you thinking, whoever listens to this and says, I'm different, that is a crutch in a way that is the kind of that's a kind of a mental that's a limiting belief that holds you back. Because what you're doing is you're putting yourself, and I would do that all the time with my ADHD or whatever else I struggle with. Oh, but you know, my hands are sweating and well, great, but now what? Now you're just still in the same place. So your problems aren't special, but I also feel you. I know what it's like to not feel worthy, to feel self-conscious, to not like the body you're in. I know all of that. And I just hope that you decide at some point to take some steps towards dance and give yourself a chance long enough to realize a lot of those thoughts, they're just thoughts. They're not facts. They're not. So don't think your problems are special. Don't. They're not. Everyone goes through it. And don't let that be your trophy. Let your trophy be when most people are sitting on the bench, I'm up on the dance floor trying. Because that's what counts.
100%. 100%. You know, every word. And I think that many times people that would still feel that, they could also hear what you said at the beginning, all of what it does in terms of helping you in different fields of life. So, and you could hear from your story and myself, other people that we had these excuses, but to understand the power of dance is when you start doing it and going on the dance floor, like you said, and many times things don't work, and then but you also see the power of it, and it's amazing. By the way, we also didn't mention, also it's also the sport, it was movement, like it helps you your mindset when you move. So you know they say in order to change change your state, change your physiology. So the whole movement, and so it does so much. I want to say more than that. You mentioned before, Alex, that you know we talk about this whole generation about me, I. I think when people dance, they light their path, and when they light their path, automatically, you know, they light also all the people around them. Like when you come back home to your partner, to your friend, to your family, whoever it is, or like, and like you're all like lit up, like you bring light to them. There's there's a famous story of someone that wanted to commit suicide, and then someone smiled to them. And, you know that when you have light, you have no clue. First, it helps you for sure, but I'll say even that's maybe number two. First is that you also light the path of other people when you're more full inside. So I would
Yeah.
love for people to connect with you and what by the way, and if you're listening to this and you're all in, like you're not afraid from dancing, also great. Like you could contact Aleks. So Aleks will put down links below so people can
Thank
connect your
you.
school.
Thank
And
you.
I could say I was in a really challenging time. I also had also I was in big debt, those days, and actually also had someone
Mm.
threatening my life when in the business. I don't know how I got there, but and then I said I just want to dance, and then somehow I got to your class. Like I still
Mm.
remember that evening dancing, moving. It was great. Like just for a little bit, like I put everything aside. Uh, it was amazing. So thank you very much.
Wow.
Really appreciate it. And
Thank you, man. Thank you
thank
for
you.
that reminder, because the pandemic was really hard on me as well. Like I didn't know if the school would survive, and um, those virtual classes. Um, I think it was the Monday one you dropped in on, right? It was a Monday,
I
like a free virtual Zoom thing where we had people and you were dancing with the girls and like we pardoned the people, right? It was that like that whole thing came out of just yeah. Thank you, because
really hope.
um, yeah, just thank you for the reminder.
No,
Yeah.
was amazing. It even shows more like, you do something you were in a struggle, but what you did and you didn't even know that until now. Like I could tell you that's my story. I'm sure there were many other stories there. So I really appreciate it. And really whoever didn't start with that with whatever movement type dance it is, I really recommend connecting with Aleks. We'll leave links down below. And again, really thank you very much for your time and for all the beauty that you bring into the world through the power of the dance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for creating this space for us.
I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. For us to help other people, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that the most amazing things in life are the one you take for granted.